Hi friends, thank you so much for coming back for another video. Today we'll be talking about the pros and the cons of owning pet rats. I don't usually make informative videos like this a lot. I feel like I'm not the most qualified or the best person to talk about it. Since I've had rats for 3 years now, I feel like I know quite a bit about them and I feel like I take good care of my rats, I hope. So I thought I'd share with you guys some things that I find that I really like about my rats and some things that I maybe not so much like about them. Like I said, I have had rats for quite a while now, and if you guys do want to meet them, I'll link my Meet My Rats video in the description box below, and I'll probably pop up on the screen as well for you guys if you do want to check that one out. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a like and also subscribe if you're not already, if you want to see more content like this. Now let's get into the video. So like I said, we'll be talking about the pros and the cons. In this video today, we'll be starting with the pros. I personally feel like there's definitely a lot more pros than cons to owning rats, but it's obviously important to discuss them both. The first pro on my list is that obviously rats are super cute. In my opinion, the cutest thing about them is either they eat their food like they're holding little sandwiches, it is so cute, or two, that they all pile on top of each other and sleep together. It's so adorable as well. They're so cute, and I don't know, if you guys are watching this video, you probably think rats are cute as well. So number one on my pro list is a given, really. Also, what makes rats so cute is you can literally get them in so many different colors and fur textures and even ear types. You can either get Dumbo or top-eared. Depending on what sort of rat you like, there's definitely a rat out there that you are going to find adorable. I guarantee you, they are so cute. We've got a lot of different types of rats. We've got Siamese ones, we've got Dumbo ones, we've got top-eared, you can get red-eyed ones, you can get black-eyed ones. One of our rats even has one red eye and one black eye. She's so cute. You can even get blue rats. You can even get hairless rats, although they do come with their complications. Literally, there are so many different types of rats, and I personally think they're all adorable. Okay, so moving on to our second pro on the list is that rats are extremely social animals. So if you want a pet that you can interact with and play with, rats are perfect because they love to have human interaction. They love to be entertained by you. They'll literally chase you around and popcorn while they do it. You can play with them with cat toys. You can literally play with them in so many different ways and they'll appreciate it all. Like, they love to be interacted with. So if you're looking for a more independent pet, I definitely wouldn't suggest rats, but if obviously you're looking for a pet that will love the interaction with you, that's definitely a pro, I think, of rats. They really do love that. They love to cuddle with you as well. So when they're tired of playing, they will curl up on you and fall asleep. Just so rewarding and so cute to see them really enjoying the interaction with you as well. So the social side of them is definitely a pro. Okay, moving on to the next point on my list of pros, I've got that they are super intelligent. Rats are honestly so smart. You can literally train them to do so many different things. My rats are litter trained, but you can train them to do little tricks as well. I personally haven't got that far with my rats because they're too cute. I give them treats anyway and they never learn because I just give them treats, but you can train them to do really cool things. One of my friends with rats has trained her rats to go in and out of tunnels on command, which I just think it's so cool, and they can also jump onto her hand when she wants them to, so they're not as lenient with treats as me. Maybe you could definitely try training your rats. They'll probably really appreciate the mental stimulation from you, so they like learning new things. I've even seen a video of a rat playing basketball, so they are honestly super smart, so that's definitely a pro to them. Third pro on my list is that rats are really fun. In my opinion, apart from playing with them, the most fun thing about having rats is whenever I clean their cage out, I get to rearrange the cage. Like, I get to put all the different toys in there each time and move everything around, and it's so much fun watching them when I put them back in, watching them explore everything and enjoying all the things I've put in their cage for them. So that's definitely a pro side of them. They will appreciate the work you put in. It's really fun to have a pet that will actually, you know, appreciate what you do for them and enjoy all the things you put in their cage for them. It's also fun to watch them playing with each other. When they're free roaming, they'll chase each other around and like do little hops while they're playing, or even in their cage they'll do it as well. It's just so much fun to watch them. So if you think it's fun to watch your animals interacting with stuff you give them or interacting with each other, I would definitely say that is a plus side to rats. They are super fun to watch and super fun to play with. So I did mention in a previous pro point that my rats were litter trained. You know, they're super smart and you can train them to be litter trained. But another pro to the fact that they can be litter trained is it's really easy to keep on top of their cleaning. I'm not sure if a lot of people would list a con of rats is that they smell, but personally I don't really think they smell that bad. I think litter training a rat, plus having an air purifier in the same room as them, really helps to keep the smell down, because as soon as they are litter trained you can just spot clean their litter trays every couple of days and it really helps keep the smell down. You can also train them to pee on a pee rock, which I used to do. I think I lost all my pee rocks and I haven't gone and found anymore. But my rats did used to like peeing on their pee rocks as well, so good for, you know, keeping any kinds of smells from the cage down, and obviously an air purifier on top of that helps. So having animals that are litter trained and only go in a certain place, it's definitely beneficial for both you and the rats, because obviously they learn stuff. It's good for them to be able to learn where to go to the toilet and stuff, and it's good for you because it means it's easy to clean their cage and easy to keep on top of the smell. So being able to litter train them is definitely a plus point on my list. Okay, so the last pro we've got for my video today, I'm sure I've left a lot out, but these are just the ones I could think of off the top of my head. If I have left any that you guys can think of, please leave them down in the comments below. Anyway, the last pro I've got is that they are super clean animals. They love to clean themselves so much, and they also love to clean each other, and it's really cute to watch them do that as well. Obviously, on top of cleaning themselves and each other, if they like you and if they trust you, they will literally come up to you and clean you as well, to give you kisses and make sure you're clean, because it's a sign of affection for them. It's a common misconception that rats are super dirty animals. Pet rats are super clean animals. Just thought I would get rid of that misconception there. So yeah, that's the end of my pro list for today. Like I said, I've probably, in fact, most definitely forgotten some, but this is what I thought I'd include in this video. Okay, now we're going to be talking about the cons that I personally think there are to owning rats. I don't think there are that many cons to owning rats, and I don't think because there are a few cons that rats are in any way bad pets. I just obviously think it's important to discuss both sides before considering whether to get an animal or not. So obviously it's important to talk about these sides to owning animals as well. So the first con on my list is that, I mean, I'm sure you guys would have been able to guess this one, is that rats have a very short lifespan. Compared to other animals like dogs or rabbits or guinea pigs, rats only live about 2 to 3 years on average. It's quite common for them to pass away before that as well, which is obviously heartbreaking when you love an animal so much. So it is really hard to lose your rats, especially as you have to get rats around a similar age group for them to have that social interaction with rats their own age. It is really awful to have to lose, you know, a group of rats at the same time just because they are all coming to the end of their lifespan. So that is a definite con. It is honestly really hard to go through that. So it's something you definitely need to consider before getting rats. And this point kind of brings us also to our second con, which is that rats are prone to many health problems, which can shorten their lifespan even more. And obviously it's so sad to see your pet suffering as well. Rats are super prone to respiratory infections, and they're also super prone to tumors, especially female rats. 4 of my female rats have had tumors. Some of the tumors were able to be removed surgically, but sometimes there's nothing vets can do for your pet. If the cancer spreads inside their body or there's too much of the cancer cells, there's really no way that they can help your rat. Sometimes the best thing for them is to be put to sleep, and it's honestly so heartbreaking. A lot of the times with tumors, they are able to be operated on and removed. Sometimes they grow back, sometimes they don't, but obviously it is always worth that risk with your pet because you want them to have the best and healthiest life possible, which in turn brings us to our next point, which is that rats can be very expensive. We were just mentioning these health problems, and all of these cost a lot of vet bills, as you can imagine, especially surgery, because you have to find a specific exotic vet. Not all vets will operate on a rat, and not all vets will know what to do with a rat, so you do have to pay that bit extra to make sure you're getting a vet who knows what they're doing with your pet. You know, someone who normally treats dogs and cats won't have the same area of expertise as someone who is an exotic vet. So, you know, you are paying for that bit extra when you do take your animal to the vet, which obviously you should be doing if your animal is unwell. I've had surgeries for my rats cost up to £200–300, and obviously you can't just get one rat, you have to have multiple rats, and if they're all around the same age, older rats are prone to more health problems. So when they do get older, you have to be prepared for one, if not more, if not all of your rats having health problems that you will be having to pay for to treat. It's not only the vet bills that cost a lot of money as well. The initial setup of your rats is quite expensive. You have to buy a cage, you have to fill the cage, because rats get anxious when they are in an empty space, so you do need to try and make their cage as busy as possible. Saying that, you are able to buy a lot of things secondhand, which helps lower the cost, and obviously I'd recommend buying secondhand if you can as well, because obviously it is cheaper, but it's also better for the environment. So if you can, definitely buy secondhand, but we've gone off topic now. Rats are very expensive. That was my third con on the list. Okay, so the next con is that rats are time consuming / they require a lot of work. Obviously you're going to want to spend time with your pet, playing with them and letting them out and stuff. That's not the sort of time consuming I'm mentioning here. I'm mentioning with their cage and keeping on top of their cleaning and stuff. And obviously if you do make your homemade food mix, that can be very time consuming as well. Sometimes my rats almost do finish their food mix and I don't have the energy or the time to make another one, so I do like to have a source of ready-made commercial pellets available for when I am not able to make their mix. But obviously something like like that is something you've got to consider as well. Do you have the time to be making them the food that is the most healthy for them, and also the time to be spot cleaning their cage every day, every other day, and also cleaning the cage itself takes so much time. If you guys have seen my last cleaning video, I'll link it up here for you guys and in the description below if you haven't seen it, but I cleaned out my entire rat cage and it probably took me about 2 hours. So it takes me about that amount of time each time I clean it, just because it is a big cage and I've got a lot of stuff in there. But that's something you've got to take into consideration because they do take a lot of time and they are a lot of work. Continuing on with this con, depending on what bedding you use for your rats, I personally use Bed Max, which is really good for your rats, but you have to take in consideration that it comes in a massive bale, and depending on where your rats are in your house, it can be physically exhausting trying to, you know, lug that bale up to wherever you are. The rats where I live are on the top floor, so I have to bring the bedding all the way up just to fill up their cage, and obviously I have to bring it back down because I don't want a massive bag in my room. So you've got to take that into consideration as well. There are different beddings you can use, but most of them do come in massive bags. I have tried hemp bedding as well, which also came in a big bag, so that's something you've got to consider. Their bedding does come in really big bags, so it's a lot of work moving that around, especially if you have problems with lifting heavy stuff, or especially if you live alone and you haven't got anyone who could help you move the bedding. That is definitely something you have to take into consideration because, like I said, it can be a lot of work. Okay, moving on to the next con. Rats can be very messy. If you use a bedding that is shavings instead of fleece, you'll find that no matter what cage you have, or no matter how big your scatter guards on the cage are that you have, you will end up with rat bedding kicked out onto your floor. So that's something you've got to take into consideration. Are your rats going to be on carpet, so is it going to be a complete nightmare to hoover that all up, or are they going to be on laminate where it's quite a lot easier to clean because you can just sweep it up, but obviously it's the effort of doing that as well. It's not just their bedding they kick out, they also love to kick out their food. So there's definitely something to take into consideration before getting rats. The next con on my list, I'm sure many of you guys, if you have rats, will have experienced at some point. Rats love to chew. They will chew anything, and they have destroyed many of my things. That I've even lost a few phone charger wires during free roam time, so as you can imagine, it's annoying and the cost definitely adds up having to replace those. They love to chew your clothes. My t-shirts, a lot of them have been chewed, and also some of my sweatpants have been chewed if I sit down and my rats come sit down next to me and they just chew them. So it can be really annoying, but it's also kind of cute. You have to take the fact that they will chew everything into consideration before getting rats, or before letting them free roam in a certain area. They might chew your carpet, probably will chew your carpet, so if you can, I would definitely suggest to have them on laminate, but obviously that's not feasible for everyone. Okay, now moving on to the last con that I could think of on my list. It doesn't apply to all rats. This one applies to rats who've not yet been socialized, whether you got them from a pet store and they weren't socialized, or you adopted them from someone who hadn't handled them previously. Rats can be very hard to socialize if you don't have the experience. 4 of our rats, when we initially got them, they were very, very unsocial with humans. They would bite really hard and they would squeak whenever we touched them, and they just were terrified of us. Obviously it wasn't their fault. It was the environment that they were previously in, but dealing with rats so terrified of humans and trying to socialize them can be a very difficult process if you don't know what to do, and it can also be quite scary. This is probably one of the main reasons why rats do get put up for adoption. The rats that we adopted, they were surrendered by their previous owners just because they couldn't give them the attention because the rats were scared of them and they were scared of the rats in turn. So if you do get your rats from a pet store, you have to be willing to socialize them. Odds are they will not be socialized and they will be terrified of you, so you have to show them that you're not a threat, and you have to socialize them so that they can live happy lives with you. And this, I put it as a con because although it definitely can be done and it is so rewarding to see your rats warm up to you and in turn love you, but yeah, I put this as a con because it can be a very scary process if you don't know what to do. The socialization process is very time consuming. There's no definite amount of time that your rats are going to warm up to you. It could take a couple of days, it could literally take a couple of years, it could take their whole lifespan. They might not ever fully warm up to you, but we'll see that slow progress there, whether it is slow or quick. Your rats will appreciate it, but it is something you have to be patient with. So that was all the cons I could think of for this video. I'm sure there may be more, but that's all the ones that I personally have experienced. If you guys can think of any more, please comment them down below because it may help other people who are looking into getting rats. So moving on to the conclusion part of this video, I would definitely say that rats are not really a beginner animal, and I definitely would not recommend you to get them for your children unless you're willing to do all the work and all the socialization in case your children decide they don't want to do that. They're definitely a pet that I feel like needs adult supervision just to make sure that they are being looked after in the correct way and to the best of your ability to provide them the best life. Rats are honestly really, really, really great pets, but you definitely need to do your research before before getting them. And like I mentioned previously in the video, they do have quite a lot of downsides that need to be taken into consideration. So I'm gonna leave the video here for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it somewhat useful, somewhat informative. Do you guys have rats? And if you do, please let me know if you can think of anything else, or if you don't have rats and are looking into getting them, please let me know down below whether or not this video was helpful for you, or whether you will still be considering getting rats after watching this. Thank you so much again for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.